Hello, everyone, and welcome to the year-end podcast for HBCU Game Day. I'm Tolly Carr. 2017 has been a fun and exciting year. We've done a lot of new things here at HBCU Game Day. We've redesigned our website. We have launched our Roku channel. We just recently, in the last week, launched our Fire TV channel for Amazon. We've been trying to reach out and get to you in different ways with our distribution channels. And a big part of that has been Wali Pitt, who joins us now on the podcast. Have you enjoyed your holiday, Wali? Have you worked too hard?
I've been working and I've been eating, so it balanced out between, I've been getting a lot of stuff done, videos for the Fire TV and, getting a whole lot of stuff ready for the start of 2018, but I've had plenty of leftovers and good desserts to kind of guide me through it.
All right, Stephen J. Gaither might join us later today in the podcast. He's out doing he's making that freelance hustle over the holidays, so can't blame him there. But right now, hanging out with our chief programmer, Wali Pitt, amongst other things he does here. Wali, we started this year, we had a lot of ideas and did not know how to get there. you and I have kind of, as we take people behind the curtain, we've just tinkered away at things and had a lot of emails and phone conversations and figuring things out. And you've been taking formal training. So I don't know about you, man. This has been a grab it by the bullhorns and pretty exciting year for just getting things done from the standpoint of, we were kind of like in Lord of the Rings, when you start off on that journey, as the hobbits did, you didn't know where you were going to go, and but you knew that you couldn't stay where you were. So it's been a pretty cool year, right?
Yeah, it's been a lot of sink or swim, and we haven't sunk yet pretty much on anything. So I'm pretty proud about that. But yeah, we've been getting the ideas, learning how to do them, and then implementing them 1, 2, 3, kind of almost all at the same time. So, but it's been fun. Especially, like you said, the former web training. I went from, filmmaker only, creative eye, to kind of the binary ones and zeros and putting stuff together. But it's fun kind of taking the two worlds and, figuring out what matches and what's new, and then just kind of trying to keep Game Day on that cutting edge,
Yeah, and much more to come in 2018. Not a lot of HBCU news to speak of this week. I will bring you up to date on a couple of hires in the SWAC in case you have missed that as you were out doing some shopping before the holidays. Eric Dooley, he became the 33rd head coach in program history for Prairie View A&M. He was the offensive coordinator at Grambling State University. He coached there in the Celebration Bowl, and then after that, he moves over and takes the job at Prairie View. And over at the University of Arkansas Pine Bluff, their new coach now is Cedric Thomas. He becomes the 20th head football coach in the history of the UAPB program. So those things have happened over the past couple of weeks. In case you missed it, that kind of brings you up to date on where we are with coaching hires in the SWAC. As far as basketball, as soon as the next day or so, we're going to get fully engulfed in conference play. The CIAA has already started. The MEAC and the SWAC, they will get out of their give me my check and take this L games as they have played since the beginning of the season.
Has anyone won a game in the SWAC yet? Or
it's been tough. Grambling had the biggest win. Right now they have the best record. They had that win over Georgia Tech. But listen, Texas Southern has played a killer schedule. I mean, they have been like an artificial member of the Big 12, the Pac-10, the ACC. I mean, they are playing everyone. And they haven't won a game yet, but all of those games, or not all of them, but a great deal of them have been very competitive, and they've been very close. So once this SWAC play kicks off full steam in January, if Texas Southern runs straight through the SWAC, I would not be surprised. If they go to the NCAA tournament, I won't be surprised. And with, getting used to that competition at the beginning of the year, those are the same type of teams that they're going to get a draw. If they win the SWAC, they're going to be the 16th seed. Maybe the 15th seed, but more than likely, as history has played out, they're going to be the 16th seed. And those are the type of, teams that they're going to play. Syracuse and Kansas of the world.
Yeah, I'm looking at the schedule right now. Gonzaga, Kansas, Clemson, Syracuse.
Yeah.
That's gonna be a tough. That's gonna be a tough out for any SWAC team coming up. So yeah, you better to be more battle tested than not know what happens when you test the water.
Yeah. I mean, they're not going to be shook if they do make it. I mean, there's no guarantee that they will, but if they do make it, they're not going to be like, oh my God, that's the team from the ACC. Oh my God, that's the team from the Big 12. I mean, that has been their preseason. So the SIAC basketball conference play has already started, but we will get fully engulfed into it as well in January. We got great teams in the AUC. Morehouse and Clark Atlanta are doing well. Benedict and Claflin are doing well. And Wali, to my surprise, currently, I would have to say the SIAC is above the CIAA in terms of overall quality of basketball. And generally, people think of the SIAC as a football conference, and this year they don't make it. You get two CIAA teams in the football playoffs, and then basketball-wise, it looks like the SIAC is doing a little better. So I would say overall that sums up 2017. Everything that you didn't expect to happen happened, and sometimes you thought you were inside of Stranger Things, like living in the upside down. So.
Yeah, that makes it fun too. I mean, I wouldn't want to just sit around and watch everything go the way that the talking heads like us predicted to go. So I love a parody, a shake-up. That's what I'm looking for. So I'm not mad at it one bit.
Yeah, I'm with you there. So that's kind of where we are, the state of things, HBCU athletics wise. This is the HBCU Gameday podcast. I'm Tolly Carr, along with Wali Pitt this week. And Wali, looking back on 2017, that would go back to last basketball season, since that's a carryover sport from year to year as they split the years there from 2016 to 2017, and then of course this football season. When you think back to last basketball season, what sticks out to you as maybe one or two memorable moments that'll stick with you for a while when you think about hoops, and maybe even something you've seen this year so far?
Yeah, well, when I think about last basketball season, I covered a lot of Johnson C. Smith. So, the first thing that pops to my mind is that guard duo they have, Kirchman and Davis. I love two guards, and on top of that, I love two guards who play together. It's not a kind of like how they're talking about it with the Thunder right now. It's not your turn to shoot, my turn to shoot. Right. I mean, they play cohesively. One's a shooter, one's a penetrator. They can both pass. So when I think 2017 basketball, I think of the Johnson C. Smith backcourt, and then just the great CIAA tournament we had. It was my first working with Gameday. It was like getting caught up in a tornado and thrown 3 yards away. But I mean, we knocked it out, man. It was just some good ball.
Yeah. So Bowie State wins that tournament, and they going in. They had players who were quality players that were overlooked on the all CIAA team. They weren't the best team record-wise out of the North. So it was about as Cinderella. I mean, it wasn't like, Lincoln won the tournament, but I mean, it was a mid-level Cinderella run for Bowie State last year.
Yeah, and to be somewhat of a rival of Union, who was picked really high, it was a good story coming out of Bowie because they scrapped every single game. Like they weren't out there washing anybody. They were getting it, playing hard. It was fun to watch. Yeah,
Fayetteville State had a great run. Mike Tyson, which is probably one of the best names in CIAA basketball. He was getting things done down low. They were just dropping threes from the outside. So they had a magical run, fell a little short, ran out of that proverbial gas. But the CIAA tournament was pretty exciting last year. I got to cover the SIAC, which was a near buzzer beater. It was maybe like 5 seconds left on the clock. Clark Atlanta hit a really big shot, and then Fort Valley comes back and they have a chance to hit another shot to win it. So it was exciting. But the thing I will remember the most is I took the Stephen J. Gaither role of shooting a silver bullet on Twitter. and called out the Fort Valley fans for the low attendance that was there. And I was never talking to the students. The students were on spring break, and on top of that, the tournament is in Birmingham, Alabama. So, they're in Birmingham, and, the students are in Fort Valley. So I'm not expecting them to have the wherewithal to get there en masse. But, I did think that the adult fans is who I was geared towards, and they didn't pay me any attention. So all the students were mad. So we kind of got past that. But it's going to be back in Birmingham this year, and I really hope that the people support the tournament. It's really good basketball in the SIAC this year. Football-wise, you and I kicked the season off together. We made the maiden voyage to FAMU for not for you though, because you had spent some time in Tallahassee before, right?
Yeah, I had an internship in college with the Tallahassee Capital Outlook, so I spent a summer in Tallahassee. So yeah, it was a return trip for me, and I enjoyed it. It was just as hot then as it was in 2006, so not much had changed there. But no, I enjoyed going back, and man, it was a great game. It was hot, but man, it was fun down there.
Yeah, things didn't go the way that FAMU wanted, and by the end of the year, they found themselves in the market for a new coach, and Willie Simmons is now their new coach. They got rid of Coach Alex Wood, but they started out the season on fire, and they, at least in the first game, and they were just one of those teams that was, you could just look at it and say, man, next year, if they don't take a step back and take a step forward, this will be a team to contend with. And when you look at the MEAC, man, it's like FAMU. If that sleeping snake, that sleeping rattler wakes up, I mean, that to me has always been an iconic program. I mean, they're like and I don't mean to belittle them, but they're like the U of HBCU sports. They remind you of the University of Miami. They have those loud colors. They're in Florida, and maybe don't have that braggadocious persona like you associate with the U and turnover chain and all the history that they have. But just from the aesthetics, it reminds you of that. And if they can ever get rolling, that's really going to be huge.
Yeah, in a way they do kind of have that Miami swag. Like they've had the Nike uniforms that have always been fresh. The colors, just the overall tradition. So I'll agree with you there. Like FAMU is a team in the MEAC that where like you want to see FAMU good. It just makes for a general kind of like buzz among the whole conference, But also Bethune. I kind of looked at both the Florida schools like. They were right there. Bethune was just like the giant killer, that litmus test where it was like, if you can get past Bethune, you might be talking about something. So I'm looking to see what direction they go this upcoming season as well.
Yeah, they had a lot of close losses early, and then they started putting things together after they were mathematically eliminated. But it was never going to be an easy game against Bethune, and they're going to have the 2018 Circle City Classic in Indianapolis. They're going to take on Howard, which, man, there was no bigger resurgence in black college football this year than Howard, and all of that was, or at least the majority of it, to me, rests on the shoulders of Kalen Newton, who just came in this year, Wally, and electrified. Take away that Richmond game, but everything else was like on fire for Howard this year. You had a chance to see him a couple of times. When you look back on the season, what was your takeaway on the jolt of energy that Kalen Newton provided for Howard, and not only Howard, but for HBCU football?
Yeah, he's a Newton. He did what Newtons do. I could say I'm surprised, but I wasn't. I was surprised at the wins. I thought that he would play pretty well. Because he still, he had some mistakes throwing the ball, but with his legs, he was magnificent. And then you add Coach London, and they still have Phil Y'all, and their defense made plays. I enjoyed watching Howard each time, even that Richmond game where they kind of got stomped out. But I was actually going through my clips from that game not too long ago, and the second half, Kalen had a couple big passes, had a really nice touchdown run. So they really just they kind of got outmanned in the first half. But Howard put it together, and like you're saying, he's a sophomore year for Newton, another year for London. We had a couple stories up about their recruits. They had a pretty good early recruiting season, so Howard, Howard might be trouble up north in the MEAC.
When you look at him, and you tell me, because I didn't get a chance to see him in person this year, but is there a tangible difference that you could see between him and other quarterbacks? Was it something intangible? Part of your job is to follow the ball, so you're going to be on him at least once every offensive play. What is it that you saw just looking at him play that made him so special? Well,
the kind of the fearlessness, and I don't. That's kind of like a easily thrown around term, but I mean, I saw on multiple occasions Kalen would throw 2 interceptions, and he'd come right back the next series and just keep making plays. Like, he never really got his head too far down. And you talk about following the ball. Me as a filmmaker, I follow the emotion too. So I made it a point to get try to get a couple shots of him on the sideline. And he throws 2 picks, and it's not like he just doesn't care, but man, he shakes it off really fast, and he just maybe the word I'm looking for is determined. He's fearless and determined when it comes to you make a mistake, he's just gonna come back and just keep pushing, and then like the plays with his legs. And I think Phil, y'all had a lot to do with that as well, because having a dominant rusher in the field, that kind of that opens things up a little bit more for a quarterback to kind of do his thing. But I mean, once he gets settled in the pocket and really starts throwing strikes and gets the decision-making process of college football at this level, he's gonna be good. But he makes plays with his feet, and he's not gonna give up at all. So those are my takeaways from the new.
You're listening to the HBCU Game Day podcast. I'm Tolly Carr, along with Stephen J. Gaither and Wali Pitt, but Stephen's not here. I'm so used to saying that, it just comes out like robotically. Tolly Carr, Wali Pitt. Stephen J. Gaither is on assignment, his own assignment. He's out there getting paid today. So
you know how Steve does. He's never gonna stop working. If he ain't doing something for Game Day, he's taking.
He doesn't have any children. I don't know if he has a girlfriend. I don't know, honestly. Sometimes I think he does. Sometimes I think he doesn't.
Steve is married to the culture, so all out there who like HBCU Game Day, just know Steve put a ring on the culture.
Yeah. So look, I haven't done anything like the past 5. I think I've wrote 1 piece in the last 5 days. I've been taking my kids back and forth between grandma number 1 and grandma number 2. So Stephen has no personal responsibility besides himself. And Wali's married, so he's had to play the game over the holidays as well. So we're trying to get back into the groove like many of you out there. Hey, if you enjoy the podcast, make sure that you subscribe to it. You can do that a couple of different ways. You can go to SoundCloud, you can go to TuneIn, you can go to iTunes, and you can always catch it at hbcugameday.com. And we even put it up on YouTube as well. So a lot of different avenues for you to get involved and get engaged with the podcast. All right, Wali Pitt, Tolly Carr here. What was your maybe like favorite moment, a play, a game? Like, what sticks out to you the most about the games that you got a chance to see in 2017?
Virginia State versus Bowie. That trip to Petersburg I took this year was one that, after a couple weeks in the season, I kind of had it circled. And, I live in Charlotte, so it was about a 4.5 hour drive, 4 and some change. So I was really like, I don't know, is this going to be worth it? But man, once I made the decision, once I got up there, and I just tell you real brief little side note, the place that I parked had smoked turkey legs and mac and cheese. So I park the car and I get smoked turkey legs and mac and cheese off the rip. So that's like check 1.
Small diversion.
That's number 1. But man, the atmosphere, the band was incredible. Like all the band pregame rituals and routines were a little more elaborate than I had seen, from earlier in the season. I mean, they had a bunch of cool stuff they were doing. Trent Cannon and Amir Hall, like, put on a show for me. The fans, I had that great moment where the Bowie and the Virginia State fan were kind of tussling with each other in in a very pleasant way, you know. But no, that game to me, that was the most fun game I went to all year, except for, you know, I went to Central, so you can't tell me nothing about the Aggie Eagle Classic. That's going to be top notch on my list.
That was chippy this year. Were you surprised at how chippy that game was? I mean, they were like beefing from off the bus beefing.
I wasn't. I mean, I knew going into it with the records and Central not having anything to lose, and I mean this in the most pleasant of ways, but you know Central was going to be out there on that goon stuff. I mean, that's just how it is. It's Aggie Eagle, like, you know, A&T was undefeated. They were rolling, and you knew Central was just going to go into their place and just, they weren't going to care. You know, that was evident from the little scuffle they had. Devontae Reynolds gets kicked out before the kicks, before kickoff. So, I mean, it was great. To me, that's what an Aggie Eagle Classic is supposed to be. I wish it had been for all the marbles, but you know, it is what it is at this point. But yeah, chippy was to say the least.
What was your takeaway on the Celebration Bowl? We were all there. I was in the back playing producer and staying close to the chicken wings. But you were out on the field and you took in all the flavor that was at the Celebration Bowl. You know, outside of the game, what did you think about the environment? Like, was it missing something? Was it just right? Did you want to see more? Like what was your takeaway on that?
It was definitely a great feel on the field. But, you know, looking up, you could tell that, like, yes, it kind of looks sparse, but we're also walking around in $1 billion. So, like, you know,
$1 billion not on the elevator. Like, yeah.
You know, I mean, it's going to feel, you know, it's not going to feel as packed as it would be for, you know, a sellout Falcons game. But what I thought was great was the areas they had behind the bench that were for former players and family. I got to do a small shout out. I saw my boy, who I went to high school with, Herb Miller, who was an A&T quarterback. He was right there behind the bench. I ended up meeting their wide receiver, Elijah Bell. His family was back there. So that was the best. And there was a lot of interaction between, you know, I think we talked about it in our post game. It was almost like a skybox, but on the floor. It's like there was a room to come out, and so there was a lot of interaction between that area and the sideline. It was like respected interaction. You could tell that it was like former players and current players. It wasn't just fans being like, "Yeah, we love you." You know, it was like that quarterback from 1994 telling you to toughen up, and the player was like, "Oh, okay, I'm gonna listen to this little bit of information." You know, so that was really cool. And then just there was a lot of energy. Like the fans who were sitting close, you know, they obviously paid that high dollar, so they were hyped. Like I said, I can see how if I had been in the stands, it might have felt a little sparse, but on the field, it was electric, and it wasn't like homecoming electric. It was like it was a championship game. There was a certain focus to it. You know what I mean? From the play.
What do you think about? I've thought about this in the weeks since the Celebration Bowl. So this is like the Super Bowl, or the closest thing we're going to get to the Super Bowl of black college football. Mm-hmm. Should you do something different at halftime, or should it just be, you know, standard, let the bands play like we see all season long, or should we try to make it like, you know, put a little extra sauce at the halftime? What do you think?
A group of both bands on the field thing would have been cool. Maybe that's just from being spoiled from last year's Honda Battle of the Bands, where all the bands kind of came back and did one group thing. We see it a lot. Like I think the CIAA football, their cheerleaders usually do like a unity cheer at some point during the game. So something like that would have been cool, to where you incorporate both bands. But I mean, also I don't know what type of logistics it would take to, you know, have something from a band from Louisiana and a band from Greensboro. How would they meet up to put it together? You know, all of that type of stuff. But yeah, they could have tacked 5 minutes on, but other than that, it was a great halftime. But yeah, that's a good question. That'd be the only thing I could think was some sort of together band performance.
Well, you're the resident music video director extraordinaire. When you're not at games, you do a lot with music videos, and you do a lot here in Atlanta. should there be a relationship there with the Atlanta music scene and the game? Do you think that's necessary, or? Definitely,
if it could be pulled off, and that's, again, we're talking logistics, but yeah, if you could get, one of my favorite things is when bands do these cover songs or renditions of popular songs, however the proper wording is. And, these bands can turn around these songs quick. We talked about FAMU. Probably my favorite song of the year was Gold Link's Crew. And, I mean, when was that? That was late August. I first heard Crew sometime maybe a week or two before we went to FAMU. And FAMU was already had it and was playing it seamlessly by the 24th or whatever.
Look, they made SZA cry. Is that how you say it? SZA? Is that?
Yeah, it was very well done, sir.
Okay. Look, I didn't hear Gold Link till like last week, so I'm totally behind on everything. But yeah, I mean, these bands can do it, and the artists seem to appreciate it and really, and especially the younger artists.
Yeah, it wouldn't seem out of the question to maybe put something together where you get a Future or a Gucci to come out and do one song at the half. I would absolutely love that. But
yeah, they could roll out a stage with the pink trap house, and then people can just come out of the pink trap house and perform. Is that too much?
You ain't that old. You up, because that's a great idea.
Look, in Atlanta, man, they have billboards talking about the pink trap house. Even if you don't know what a trap house is, you know that there is a pink trap house.
Mm-hmm. Which probably ain't getting trapped out of, because that's pretty obvious.
Yeah.
Obvious designation.
Yeah, that it is no longer serviceable as its original intent.
Well said.
You're listening to the HBCU Gameday podcast. He is Wali Pitt. I am Tolly Carr. I think the most memorable moment for me, a couple, it was really cool going to the Tennessee State-Georgia State game. That was the first football game in the former Turner Field. So look, the Braves were playing there last year. Georgia State takes it over. They flip it into a football stadium. That was really cool. It was at nighttime, so it was still summer, but it wasn't hot. And look, they really packed it in there. So and Tennessee State won the game. Their season didn't quite go the way they wanted to once they got into the OVC play, but the first 3 to 4 weeks of the season, they were doing good. I think the best kind of sequence of events was the Tuskegee Morehouse Classic, because Morehouse had them beat, and all they needed to do was convert a first down. They didn't do it. They left the door open, and Tuskegee pulled out some big plays from an offense that had been struggling all year, and really that was the waking up point for Tuskegee. Like, that was kind of the moment that their season turned around, and they had a playoff worthy season to me when you look at it, but the things didn't shake out when the committee took the final vote on votes, even though they were in position to be a playoff team according to the final poll of that week heading into the playoffs. But that didn't happen, but they still had a respectable season, and that was kind of the moment where they decided, or it played out and manifested, either this is going to be an off year or we're going to get back on track. And they got back on track. So that was pretty cool to see that in person. And it was a moment where, the quarterback for Tuskegee, it was like a year to the date where one of his best friends had gotten killed in a car accident, and he was playing for the memory of him. And, when you see these games, with the Power 5 conferences, a lot of times those storylines are just delivered to you because they have production meetings, and the resources thrown into that are so great that they don't miss a lot. But, as we cover this stuff, if, we don't know a lot of these things going into the games. We don't know a lot of the backstories. But I just noticed, he's coming off the field and he's crying and pointing to the sky, and I'm like, what's that about? And then, you ask, and then, here's this great story that's even bigger than the game. So that was a special moment, not only for the play on the field, but, for the story that went into that as well. And I always get a kick out of that when these victories, and even the games, even if they don't, win, it just means so much more to these kids than just the score that you see on the scoreboard. So that was a really cool moment.
Especially at this level, because it can be like such a culmination. I mean, you got to think some of these kids been doing this since they were 5, 6 years old, and then that last game of your senior year sometimes is the culmination of like a life's work that you just can't do anymore. It's almost like I liken it to like a painter. If if you're a painter and one day they say, "Oh, you know what, your painting career is now over," it's just it's crazy to think about. So definitely respect to all those guys who do that, because it's definitely deeper than just a game.
Yeah, and that was Jamarcus Ezel I was talking about there. He's going into his junior year now as the Tuskegee quarterback. So that was a special moment and a big year for him. He had been waiting for his opportunity, and he finally gets that chance. And he got injured early in the year, had a concussion, and he had to miss a couple of games. So he was kind of off schedule, finding his groove as the first year starter. As Kevin Lacey had been the starter before him. So it was really, really fun to follow that team, which is perennially the team that just whips everybody's butt in the SIAC. But they started off a little slow, and to see them come to life, kind of humanized them as well. That even the juggernauts have to put in that work. It just doesn't fall out of the sky for them. This is the HBCU Game Day podcast. You can find it on TuneIn, SoundCloud, HBCUGameday.com, and iTunes as well. All right, look, we talked sports. We talked everything that we've seen through 2017. Wali is a filmmaker. He worked in the film industry in Wilmington. So here's the thing that I really want to get to, man. What is the best way or how did you spend your Christmas holiday? This is the time of the year where you can do a little work, but, everybody's kind of on cruise control. Did you Netflix it? Did you take in a lot of movies? What was your entertainment of choice during this holiday season downtime?
That's a great question. I did Netflix a little bit. Finished up The Punisher, which was great. If you like any of the comic book stuff, The Punisher was always my favorite, and I like how they kept it straight to the vest. Punisher still played no games as he did in the comics. And I took my wife and I took my nephew to see what was it, Daddy's Home 2. I hadn't seen the first one, but he's 13. He wanted to see it. So
this is Will Ferrell and
Mel Gibson and John Lithgow are like the grand. So it was cool. Not normally my speed, but when you go with a 13-year-old who thinks it's hilarious, it actually makes it that much more funny. So shout out to him, my nephew Kai, and my wife Brittany. We had a ball at that. But no, I've been working. I'm cooking up something special for the new year. A football wrap up, and then getting my head into this web stuff. There's always research to be done. I might have some Bitcoin before too long with the way my
man. I keep seeing people in the Bitcoin, and I'm like, as soon as I jump in it, it's gonna crash. Like soon, like Bitcoin was made just to mock me. It's like my self-centered view of the universe. Like, okay, here he comes. And
there it is. Well, there's some other cryptocurrencies out there that are jumping up. That's not just Bitcoin. So I don't know. I'm a young guy, but I'm kind of an old school dude. It's like let me do something of value. Give me some money and let me stash it in a hole. That's normally my MO. But as times change, I think I'm gonna have to get on the fast track with some of these cryptocurrencies.
Okay, so you binged out on The Punisher a little bit. Where would you rank The Punisher with all of the Marvel properties that are currently on Netflix? So this would be Luke Cage, Iron Fist, The Defenders, and Daredevil, and Jessica Jones. Where do you rank The Punisher?
I rank it 2. Luke Cage, Punisher, Jessica Jones. Still haven't watched Iron Fist, so that might go in there. Defenders was cool, but I think I like the focus when they're doing just the one hero storyline.
Yeah, Defenders was doing too much. It was too much and not enough episodes to flesh it out. It was just it was too much.
Yeah, but Punisher was a strong too. I mean, it wasn't Luke Cage just because, on my filmmaker nerd stuff, I love Cheo Hodari, who's the showrunner for them. He's kind of a guy who I've followed his career, so I like his stuff, and that's Luke Cage soundtrack. Speaking of that VSU Bowie game, I listened to the Luke Cage soundtrack almost the whole 4 hours because it's a really long soundtrack. So Luke Cage is my one, Punisher's my two. Jessica Jones, definitely don't sleep on that because Jessica Jones is a good one as well.
And she was like one of the first ones that came out on Netflix, and I just kept flipping over it. I was like, what is this? Jessica Jones, Marvel? Like, I'd never heard of her before, or the character. And I had watched Daredevil, and I was like, let me just give it a try. And once I gave it a try, I was like, man, this is good. Like, it's really good. Like, the thing I like about those on Netflix is they don't overemphasize the superhero part. Like, it's really driven by the characters and the character development. So that's why I think I would agree with you. It's hard to knock off Luke Cage at number one, but the Punisher, like, look, there's no X-ray vision, there's no flying people. It's just,
just military training.
Yeah,
that's it. But I love how they're not doing the whole, like, you almost don't see the hero in his hero costume until the end. But it's still not backstory. I mean, I just as a storyteller myself, I love what they've done with it. Like you said, I mean, it's not too hero-y. It's not like a blockbuster movie, but it's and they're developing those characters and telling those stories for sure.
All right, so movie-wise, have you done Star Wars?
I have not.
You have not done. You let me beat you to Star Wars, like, and I never go to the movies.
I've never been a huge Star Wars guy.
What?
I just got into it, and I wasn't really into the only comic books I was really into was really Punisher, X-Men. I used to like this weird comic book called Evil Ernie. So I was a weird kid. Somebody asked me when I was 10 years old what Superman's first name was, and I said Shaquille O'Neal, and was dead serious.
Oh my God.
Completely dead.
Oh, I have to rethink our friendship here. Oh my God.
I'm just getting my nerd.
You didn't have any Star Wars action figures growing up?
Not a one.
Oh my.
Not a one. I know. People get disturbed with me all the time. I really
thought we were going to be able to dissect some Star Wars here on the back end of the podcast, and you have nothing.
I could tell you all of Alex English's stats from before I was born, but no, I wasn't really into the sci-fi until my 20s, so I'm still catching up.
Oh God! So you didn't go see Justice League either?
Nope.
Oh.
No. I know.
This podcast is not going where I was hoping. We were going to finish with The Big Bang with Wali the filmmaker breaking down Justice League, and it's not going to happen.
No, not. That's not my style. We can talk The Wire all day long. I'm just honestly, I like things that are more based in reality most of the time. Now that I'm getting older, I like the fantasy stuff, but I've just always been a guy. I like my art kind of steeped in something I know.
Okay, so I told you to watch Snowfall on FX. Have you watched that yet?
I have not. But we've been busy. That was just the other week.
So I'm the only person not working here. Like, you and Steve are actually doing work, and I'm just like vegging out on TV for the last week, and you guys are actually working. That's what's happening here.
I doubt that seriously. No, I'm just missing it. I'm watching old reruns of The Wire and The Sopranos, and that's just my style. When I work, I usually have Oz, The Sopranos, or The Wire on in some sort of rotation. I'm a big Law and Order guy. You can catch me watching Law and Order at any time. So yeah, that's just me.
I still have not seen the final episode of The Sopranos. I've every time I see an article about it, I don't read it about the awkward ending or whatever.
Well, that's because I just found a video about a month ago that explains it out, kind of from from the production team, from how how it was shot, and kind of the reasons behind some of the stuff, and it was mind blowing. But I'm willing to hear.
I'm on a 10-year spoiler alert.
Yeah,
The Sopranos.
Don't watch that YouTube video because it'll ruin it. But you're talking about me like I'm the filmmaker guy. You've been behind your camera since I was since I was pulling my pants up in elementary school. So I'm interested to hear what you think about Star Wars.
Well, I mean, but you don't have the frame already. You haven't seen it, so I'll just be talking, and like you won't. You're gonna have to go. So, have you seen any Star Wars movies?
I saw, and this is gonna be a bummer. I have seen the one where Darth Vader is a child that came out in late 90s, because I was at summer camp and we had to go see it. Okay. I've seen that one.
So that was the one with Jar Jar Banks.
Yep,
okay.
Yep. I've seen. Is that the one with the Sith? I feel like I've seen.
Yeah.
Another one.
That's the one with Darth Maul, the guy with the red and black face.
That's the only one I've seen, and like my best friend is.
That's like the worst one. Like.
Yeah. He's one of the biggest Star Wars people. He reads the novels, and he's just as disgusted with my lack of Star Wars watching too. So.
Oh well, yeah. We can't even talk. Like you don't. Yeah.
I catch up. But one, I'll watch them hopefully with my kids, and it'll be new to me, just like it's new to them. So.
Well, that's the pretty cool thing. I took my girls to see it, so they're like you. Minus the fact that they're 6 years old and 4 years old, they haven't seen any Star Wars before. So we went to see The Last Jedi at the theaters, and we kind of did it in inverse order. And then last night we watched The Force Awakens.
Okay.
So, that was like seeing episode 2, then seeing episode 1 out of order. So, but Han Solo is not in he's not in the last one. He is in the first one, as far as the new ones. So anyway, so when he makes his appearance, they're like, "Who's that?" I'm like, that's Han Solo. Like, what? You thought that's the Mac. That's the Mac of Star Wars. But when Finn comes in and Rey, they're like, "Oh yeah." So that was different. So that's their first Star Wars. They don't have any emotional connection to all the characters, and they're looking at it with a fresh set of eyes. But they are just excited if you grade on the curve with them being girls, as I was as a little kid in the late 70s, early 80s. So yeah, one day we'll get you to watch all of them, and we'll have a dedicated Star Wars HBCU.
I can watch them
podcast.
Right?
So
I can watch them in the chronological order that the story goes in now, right?
Yeah, but you're going to notice that that the level of filmmaking is going to drop off in 4, 5, and 6, because they were shot obviously before 1, 2, and 3. So that's gonna be a little weird to you.
Is there a storytelling drop off from the 70s to now?
No, it would if you were to never, like you have never seen it, for you to watch it, you would get it. It would be good. I think it would be good. So
we'll have a podcast when I do that.
Yes, golly. I gotta ask Steven out. Now, if Steven had said he's never seen any Star Wars, I would not be surprised, because he's the quirkiest out of all of us. But that did throw me for a curveball. I thought you would be a George Lucas disciple there.
No, and you know what's funny is I've read Dale Pollock was the dean of the North Carolina School of the Arts Film School, and I've read his book on this, I think it's called Skywalking, and I've read the book. It's all about them making Star Wars and all of that, but I ain't seen the movies.
Well, it might surprise some people. Let's see. I've never seen any of the Godfathers.
Yeah. See, that's more my flavor. I own VHSs of the whole Godfather, including 3, which I love. If it wasn't for the slight cousin incest they put in Godfather 3, it'd be an incredible movie. So
it's not that I don't want to watch it, but like every time it's on TV, I'm like, okay, the one thing I know about Godfather is that it's really long, and like I never feel like I have the time to invest. And then I don't like to start, like, if I catch it like halfway through, and I've never seen it before. Like I want to catch it from the beginning. So one day I will, but so far I have not. But I did enjoy a lot of X-Men over the holiday. I think FX showed like every single X-Men movie made ever.
Yeah.
So I did catch a lot of those. So, but now it's back to work time, and we'll be back into basketball. We're done with football. We have the Battle of the Bands coming up. It'll be track season before you know it, and this HBCU train will continue to roll on. So we'd like to thank everyone for hanging out with us on this podcast, and we'd like to thank everyone for hanging out with us for the entirety of 2017 and for any years that you've been with us since 2012, when this idea just popped off in Stephen Gaither's brain, and it is now developed and flourished into what we have today. If you missed the news on social media a couple of weeks ago, we now have a Fire TV channel. So if you have a Fire Stick, just go to the App Store and it's free. All you have to do is download it, and we have a lot of exclusive video content there, and you might be listening to this very podcast right now, or a best of snippet of this podcast on Fire TV. So that's pretty cool. And we also have our Roku channel that we've been working with for the majority of the year. So if you're more of a Roku person, make sure you go to the channel store on Roku as well, and you can see a lot of that same content. And we will try to reach out to you in more ways in 2018, and really keep up with you and keep up with the technology. The more time goes along, there's always something new. And so we try to be wherever you are. What are you looking forward to the most in 2018, Wali, before we go?
That is a good question. I've been looking forward to basketball season a lot. I'm looking forward to Johnson C. Smith Tuskegee, I think, is coming up next week. But really just more content, more getting behind my camera. I'm looking to push the ball, do a lot more storytelling. We talked about character development. I'm looking to link up and tell some of these HBCU stories, and similar to how we did with the Beyond the Art Tariq Cohen piece, but I want to take it to a whole new level. So that's probably what I'm looking forward to the most. So anybody listening to this, you got a cool story about an HBCU athlete, be it from 1945 or they're playing right now, hit us up, because I will vet that situation and flush it out, and you might just see me pull up on you with my camera. So, that's what I'm looking forward to the most.
Yes, he will pull up. You have to see it. Here's the last reason why you have to watch Star Wars. When I look at our artwork, so we all have our avatars where we're standing in front of football goals and basketball goals. Like, your dreads on the avatar are so Chewbacca-esque. Like, I really think you'll make a connection. Like your beard and your dreads, they just have that same Chewbacca hue. They have the volume, the length.
When I get angry, I can see I probably do have a little Chewbacca flair too.
All right. Well, it's been a lot of fun as we wrap up the 2017 podcast edition here of the HBCU Game Day podcast, and a special treat of talking about Netflix and movies and what we have seen and what we surprisingly have not seen. So it's been a lot of fun. We look forward to hanging out with you guys more, and enjoy the rest of all of your holidays. I know there's lots of celebrations going on right now. We've gone from Christmas into Kwanzaa, and then we're going to have the New Year, and we wish you all the best with your New Year resolutions. Do you have one, Wali, or do you have like something you staked out personally that's going to be a new and improved you in 2018?
Not really. I'm not even gonna pretend to eat better or lose weight, because that's a 2020 goal for your boy. No, I mean, just honestly, content. Like, I really just want to start telling some of these stories and really kind of expanding from just. I don't want to just tell you the score. I want to go deep. So. That's my resolution, is to give you some of this HBCU culture. That's all I got.
Well, yesterday there was a 24-hour span where I ate 3.5 Bojangles biscuits. So I've got to do a little better food-wise in 2018. So I went to the grocery store today, and I had a vegan recipe that I'm going to work on. That I'm not going vegan, but I'm gonna touch on it a little bit. Experiment with that life and see what it's all about.
With the green smoothie, so that I've had something green and healthy, and then it's just downhill. It's just barbecue and ribs.
Yeah, it's like, hey, I ate healthy. Let me reward myself for doing that. That's usually my downfall. Those.
Yeah, it's backwards, but hey, you gotta have room to improve too. So.
For real. All right, for Wali Pitt, I'm Tolly Carr. Go to SoundCloud, go to iTunes, leave us some feedback there, positive feedback. If you would like to, you can go to SoundCloud and HBCUGameday.com, where you can always find the HBCU Game Day podcast. We'll talk to you later. Have a great 2018.
Happy New Year.